Hello everyone, it's Tracy at For the Love of Stamping. Welcome back to my craft room. Today I'm going to share with you a gift card holder that I saw posted up on the web a couple of days ago from a US demonstrator, Tami White. I took her idea and turned it into this little gift card. Hers was actually just considered a birthday card, and I wanted it to be a gift card holder. So what I've done is I've made it so that we can insert a gift card into the inside of the pocket here. So this is a magic card, and you notice that the front of the card here, there is a white background. Then when you pull on the tab, you'll see that the color gets revealed. So we're going to use some new products out of the January to June mini catalog to create this little gift card holder. And for you to be able to insert the gift card holder or the gift card, you're just going to adhere it to the back of the panel here. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what you're going to need to make this little card. You're going to start off with the Fine Art Gallery bundle. This is a stamp die bundle that is available in the January to June mini catalog, and it features all of these beautiful images along with a bunch of sentiments and a set of coordinating dies. So for the stamp, you can see I've got Happy Birthday stamped here. It's I've already put it onto my block. We're going to use that to stamp the greeting. And then the dies, which I tuck inside my little case here, are the Floral Gallery dies. And this one here, which is the rectangle with the squiggly edges, is the one that we're going to use to die cut that greeting with. You're also going to need some other pieces. I'm going to include the stitched rectangle dies. These are out of the annual catalog, and this is the third and fourth largest if you're going from the smallest to the largest of all the dies. I've got mine taped together because when I wanted to create my frame out of the gold foil paper, I tape them together, run it through, and then I know that they're going to stay in the same place. For the actual center of the gift card holder, it was just the third largest one that I used to cut that center piece out. So you need the stitched rectangle dies, and then of course you can see this beautiful embossing that's been done on the gift card holder, and that's been done using the painted texture embossing folder, which is new out of the January to June mini catalog as well. Couple other things you're going to need. You're going to need yourself a punch of some sort. I'm a circle punch. I've used the 1-inch circle punch, but you could also use our circle dies to do what we're going to need to do. You're going to need a handheld punch of some sort to be able to punch a hole through the layers. I dug out my crocodile because I did try a handheld punch and I found I couldn't get through all the layers, so I pulled that out to do it. If you only have a handheld punch, you can do all the layers individually one at a time, and then you don't have to try and punch through all 3 layers. Now, you're going to need some cardstock to create this. I'm going to show you those pieces as well before we get started. So you'll need a piece of Flirty Flamingo. This is our base, and it is measuring 8.5 by 4.5. Now, you're going to have to do some scoring on this. We're going to do a little 1/4-inch score on the short side, and then you're going to score on the long side at 2 3/4 and 5 3/4. You'll have a piece of white, which is going to be our inside flap. It'll end up adhering to the center section, and you'll see as we go along what I'm going to do with that. It measures 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. We're going to use from the Fine Art Gallery suite some of the Fine Art Gallery Floral Designer Series paper. This measures 2 3/4 by 4, and it's coordinating Fine Art, the Golden Garden Designer Acetate, which layers right on top, and it measures 4 by 2 3/4 as well. I used some gold foil, as I mentioned, to do this nice little frame to finish off the outside of the gift card holder. We're going to use our dies for that. You'll need a piece of some new Blushing Bride metallic ribbon, which is available in the January to June mini catalog, and a piece of Mary Merlot, which I've used my 1-inch circle punch to punch out, and there's my greeting. So those are all the pieces that we need. Let's get started doing the assembly and show you how to make this. All right. So we'll start off with the card base. and I will show you all of the scoring once again. So as I mentioned, I put this into my scoreboard and I scored along the 4.5 inch at 1/4 inch. So this section here measures 4 1/4. Then I rotated it and I then scored at 2 3/4 and 5 3/4. You'll then burnish all of the lines with your bone folder, and you're going to cut out these 2 sections right here. Once you've cut that out, you're going to then put it into your die cutting machine, and using the stitched rectangle frame, you're going to cut out this center section using the 3rd largest die of the rectangles. When that's done, it'll look like this. So I have cut out these 2 sections. Notice I've done a little bit of a slant here. Makes it a little bit easier for the folding and tucking in the pieces. I've die cut my centerpiece using the stitched rectangle die, again using the 3rd largest. And now I need to run it through the Big Shot one more time. And then in order to be able to give it that texture on the surface, we're again using the painted texture embossing folder and running it through. Now what you're going to notice is that when you put this paper in to this folder, it's not going to fit. The cardstock isn't going to fit entirely, and that's okay, because for the purpose of what we're doing here, we only want one panel and the center panel to be embossed. So we will fold that over and run through our die cutting machine, and we'll end up with a piece that looks like this. So you can see how I've got it embossed on this side and in the center, and then we've got the plain panel on this on the far right side. And the reason being is that we'll be able to then fold this piece back, and it's covered once you fold in this section. So that's why I said you don't need to worry about embossing that piece of it. Sorry folks, had to let my cat out. He was in my stamping room and he didn't want to be here with us, so no cameo for Scooter today. So, okay. Next we need to start adhering some of the pieces together. So I'm going to grab the white piece that I had pre-cut, and I'm going to flip this over, and we're going to adhere this panel right to here. Okay, then it's going to fold up to the inside and it's going to cover our window. So I'm going to use probably some, you can use whatever, adhesive works best for you. I have this Suk-Wang tear and tape, and I like to use it because I know it's nice and strong. And I'm not going to go edge to edge. You just want to come in the center, because you'll notice this is not quite the same length. So it's best not to go all the way to the edge, because it's going to get stuck if you do that. So we'll just lay a bead of this across here. Like I said, you could use Tombow if you wish. I'm just going to use this for the sake of it, because it just happened to be close by. And I'll just snip that edge off. Press it down and peel it off. And then I'll take my white and I will adhere it right here. Now I want to make sure that I get close to that crease line without actually going over the crease line. And it just folds up like so. Then we can fold in these pieces and adhere it shut. But just before I do that, I'm just going to flip it back over, and I'm going to grab my gold frame that I created, and I'm going to adhere that to the front. So this one I'll probably use Tombow, because I have a little more control with the Tombow. And I'll just cover over that opening just to finish it off. The gold foil works really nicely and coordinates nicely with the designer series paper. Now, one thing I should mention is that coordinating acetate, you get one sheet of the acetate that coordinates with the designer series paper. Just want to make sure that you understand that, so that you're not expecting to get 2 sheets, because in the designer series package you'll get 2 pieces of the designer series paper, but you only get one of the acetate, which is again called Golden Garden Designer Acetate. All right, So now that's adhered down. Now I also should mention in that acetate, there's 2 other designs in there that also coordinate with the designer series paper. All right, so now I can go ahead and I can close this up. Okay, so all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use some adhesive just to hold that down, and I want to make sure that it stays down, so I'll probably line it across this edge. You can use whichever adhesive you like. Again, I think I'll probably just use the tearing tape just to hold it in place, just because I'd like to have some sturdy, I like the this type of adhesive because I know it's good and sturdy, and I know it's going to hold this together well, as will the Tombow. But this one for me, when I'm making things like this, usually 3D stuff as well, I'll grab this type of adhesive because I know that it's going to keep everything in place. So tuck up the little white piece, fold over the edges, and then adhere this piece down. But before I do that, I just realized I'm going to want to cut out a notch here, and it's easier if it's not adhered down to do that. So I'm going to take my circle punch and I'm going to line it up so that it's centered in the frame here. And I'm just creating a notch in this so that when I put my piece, my magic piece inside, I have a place to grab it from. All right, so again, just centering that sort of left to right in the opening and just punching it aside, punching it out. Now I'll close it up. Okay, so we will just line those up and push it down. Now you'll notice that it's a little bit lifted in the middle here. It's kind of bumped up, but that's okay because we need to have that space for us to be able to put our gift card in. So that creates the pocket piece of it. Now let's move on to creating the actual magic piece of it. So when you're using this acetate in the designer series paper, always line it up before cutting it. If you don't do that, you may find that you've cut something and it doesn't match. Something else to mention is that the acetate sheets have a backing on them. There's a plastic adhesive backing on them that you need to remove before you cut it, because if you're using a paper trimmer and you try to cut it with that backing on it, it tends to snag. So I just want you to be aware of that, okay? Also, when we're putting this together, we're not going to adhere this down. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 1-inch circle that I've cut out, I'll fold it in half, and I'm going to place it right on top, and I'm going to put adhesive on each side of this to hold these 2 pieces together. I want this to remain loose because it needs to be able to feed in on each side of this little white sheet. So the acetate will go in the front and the designer series paper will go in the back. All right, so let's grab some. I'm gonna definitely want to use something like the tear and tape on this because the if you use your Tombow, it's going to take some time for it to dry and it'll slip around. You could even use your Stampin' Seal, that will also work. But in this case, you need to make sure that you put 1 piece of adhesive of the tear and tape on each side of the fold of your circle. So we'll press that down and we'll peel it off. And then we'll adhere it to the acetate. Now, this is the top for me, which is the top. This looks better this way. So we're gonna go this way as the top. So I'm just gonna tap it like this to make sure that it's aligned at the top and on the sides. I'll take my half circle and I will center it on the front of the acetate. And once I know I have it centered, I'll press it down and press the back down. All right, so now I've got these 2 pieces together enough so that when I place it into here, they will stay in one piece. But I need to cut a circle or a hole in here so that I can make sure that I have a way to pull out the tab with the ribbon. So using my crocodile, I'm just going to place it in the center, and I'm just going to punch a hole like so. All right, then I'll take my ribbon and I'll feed it through the hole, and I'll just tie it in a half knot, assuming that I can get it through the hole. I find if you cut it on an angle like I have, it gives you just a little bit to get it through, and then you can pull it through the other side. Easier said than done. Let's just make it a little bit more of an angle. So I'll grab some scissors and just give myself a little more of a point so that I have a way to feed that through. And grab it on the other side. There we go. All right, so now I'm just going to make it so that they're the same on each side, so that the pieces facing each other are the same and it's not twisted. And I'll just tie it in a half knot. And as I'm pulling it through, I'm going to twist it again, because I want to have, again, I want to have the same sides showing. So I just gave it a little twist, and you just have to play with it to give it that, to tighten it and twist. And now the two pieces that are showing are the same. So we can cut the ends of those just to even them out and take away the frayed edge that I created when I pulled it through. All right. Good. All right, now here's the magic part. Separate the two pieces, placing the designer series paper behind the white and the acetate in front of the white will allow you to make the designer series paper appear when you pull it out. All right, so there we go. You can see as it goes in, it's white, and as you pull it out, ta-da, you got your designer series paper showing through and the color. Now, we're just going to adhere the greeting onto the side here, and all I've done for that is I'm going to take some Tombow and I'm going to lay it across here, and then the excess pieces I'll just trim with my scissors. So, grab our Tombow, put a good amount on there. I'm not going to go right to the edge because I don't want to have adhesive everywhere when I'm using my scissors to cut it off, but we'll just lay that right on here like so, and we'll hold it down until it sticks, and then I'll cut it off. And that's all there is to it. Really easy to make these cute little gift card holders. Nice thing, you know, when you have a designer series paper that matches with that acetate, it makes life super easy, because another way to do these types of cards is to use a piece of acetate, stamp the image on the acetate, stamp an image on a piece of cardstock, and then color it in. This just saves you from having to do all that. So I'll just take my scissors, snip that piece and that piece, and there you go. Cute little gift card holder. Hope you've enjoyed this, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.